When life throws you a curveball, how are you going to handle adversity? Welcome to the Fearless Mindset Podcast, where you're about to go on a journey as I interview security, business, and entertainment leaders on what it takes to stay fearless. I'm your host, Mark Ludlow, and enjoy today's episode.
Hello, folks. Welcome to the Fearless Mindset Podcast. And today we're going to shake it up a little bit because we got Renee on today. And we all know she's a busy lady in the industry. She was the dynamic Wonder Woman at the SHOT Show, doing her ambassadors athlete thing, as the 5'11" CEO describes it all. And we just had Mr. CEO, I think a couple days ago from 5'11" on. That was great. Wealth of information. But Michelle, thanks for your time and thanks for joining us and sharing your story of what you see in the industry. And if you're listening to this podcast, just if you're guys and gals, just be ready. You're going to get a different perspective on things. We've had the military guys, we've had law enforcement folks, we've had Navy SEAL folks, we've had Special Forces folks. We're going to get it from Renee's set of eyes on this thing. She's been at it for a while, and you guys all know she's on LinkedIn. She's got 40,000 followers on that platform alone?
Yeah, I hit 44, I think.
Oh my gosh.
I think I'm almost at 45. I haven't looked lately.
Yeah. So share with the audience what's going on, because we'll be putting this on a different platform. What have you experienced in the social media platforms, you personally, that you've been like, a lot of crazy things are going on?
Well, yeah, I've been kicked off of TikTok. I can't post anything about guns or teaching on there. Apparently it's very offensive to others and they report me. So I've been banned from TikTok already. That was less than a month. I figured everybody was doing it. Let me get on the trend. And I started posting a bunch of stuff. Well, I was kicked off in a month. So I said, screw it. Then I was on Instagram and I got put in a timeout by Instagram because I kidnapped my husband on a date, and they didn't take lightly to that. So you cannot use the word kidnap or you will get in a timeout, which sucked because I was getting paid for my reels, and they put me in a timeout for 3 months. And I said, screw this. So in August, I decided to go on to LinkedIn of last year. And that has just been blowing up for me. I've noticed that there are so many people out there that want the education. I've been getting a lot of work for executive protection as well on LinkedIn, and as well as teaching. People want to know about firearms and self-defense and how to protect themselves. So on that note, I've kind of left Instagram again because they have changed their rules and policies and guidelines, community guidelines. You cannot mention or write the word or hashtag the word gun, weapons, knives, firearms, Second Amendment, anything that has to do with any kind of weapons. You cannot put that. You can get away with it by putting like little hashtags in there or like mixing up the wording. But I've noticed that I've been shadow banned because there's a little thing that you can go on your account status and it says that you have violated community guidelines. You can delete or edit if you'd like. And I'm like, I don't have time to do this. So I've been really focusing on LinkedIn.
That is just wild to me because you're getting paid on your reels on Instagram, paid money for whatever you posted, right?
Yeah. And now they banned me where only maybe 0.1% maybe sees it, or they don't even show it at all.
Wow.
It's pretty sad.
So LinkedIn is the go-to for you, business to business training. Would you say your video is getting the most traction? People are just interested in what you're putting together, rolling around in the dirt and you're shooting his AR. Where I better watch what I say because I could get banned.
Right.
You have these rifles and you're on the rifle range and you're shooting different angles rolling around in the dirt. I mean, what could be? I mean, that's just training with tools. And wow, that's just wild to me. But LinkedIn doesn't seem to have a problem with it.
Not yet, but I think I really, on both platforms, like on Instagram, I really kind of like, okay, it's Instagram. It's a whole different business platform on LinkedIn, and you're dealing a lot more with professionals, and I keep it very professional. What's your opinion? What do you want to do about this? How are we going to solve this problem? I also showcase that not only am I a trainer, I'm out there doing it and rolling around in the dirt, and I'm doing everything that I could possibly do to learn and also come back to my students and say, hey, I'm a student too, but this is what I'm also doing. Then I'm also out in the field doing executive protection. So I'm kind of protecting people, what I love to do, and then I'm teaching people to protect themselves. But LinkedIn is really, let's say, like, it's controversial, but it's not, because you also still get the haters. I got lots of haters.
Yep.
So I'm doing something good. You know that. I get a lot of repost, which is nice. And I mean, the messages, I feel bad. If anybody's listening to this and I have not messaged you back, please, 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 please forgive me. I get overwhelmed so much with so many messages and emails that I can barely keep up. And so when I get home, you guys, I just want to be a mom and a wife and just kick my feet up, have a glass of wine, and not think about anything. So I do apologize.
How many kids do you have?
I have 3 daughters.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they're all in elementary school age, right?
Yeah. Well, not quite. I have 3-year-old twin girls, identical twin girls. And then I have a 10-year-old daughter. And yeah.
Yeah, you're busy, mama bear.
I am very, very busy. It's very rewarding, but it's exhausting too, especially when I get home from work. If I'm gone for a week and I get back home, it's like no unwinding for mama. It's like I'm like the jungle gym. They're all over me.
And there's so many women out there that can relate to you, that are holding down a job, not just an EP work, but they're holding down a day job, and they got to work with, their spouse or their partner. And then they got to do the same thing. They're living in Southern California, and they're just trying to keep their wits about them. Yeah. Try to bring out that extra cash to pay the bills. It's not an easy juggle.
No, it isn't. California is not easy to live out here. First of all, we have our stupid laws. I mean, people are like, just move.
What do you think about that? What do you think about the stupid laws?
I can't keep up with them anymore. I mean, I just read one the other day about California is going to be hiring. You don't have to be a citizen to be a police officer in California. Yeah. It was a new thing that was passed. And I'm like, I didn't vote for that. That's insane. I mean, we're already struggling to get police officers or good police officers. And now you're going to involve that. And now there's going to be all this corruption. We're already in the wild, wild west. So we don't need any more. And it's just, I feel like they're adding more fuel to this fire. I mean, my job will be booming, but still, it's like
private sector security is an explode.
Yeah.
Where's the common sense?
Yeah. There's
with the politicians.
Nothing. I mean, you wonder how they even get dressed in the morning.
I've not heard that yet.
And I'm hoping that this is like a hoax, because I started reading on it and I'm like, you're insane. And I'm just like, I can't even anymore I can't keep up. I can't keep up with the new gun laws that they have. I can't keep up with the things that they're passing. It's ridiculous.
And you're a native Californian, aren't you?
I am born and raised out here. Would I like to move? Wow. Yes, but it's kind of hard at the moment.
Kind of hard right now.
Well, and here's the thing. Business is booming in LA.
Is it?
Yeah.
I've heard. It's exploding.
Mm-hmm. So people want security out there, and it's nice to be able to offer it.
What's going on down there, Renee? What's going on in LA? Is it the Celeb? It's the corporate? Is it the estate stuff? I know Gavin Beckers has a big hold on that, because they do great work. And I'm sure there's people that say I'm stupid for saying that. I'm good friends with James Hamilton. And so shout out to James and Gavin Becker for what they do. They train some good agents and all that. And I know there's some other companies that, it's like a turf war down there in LA. So you got the little cartels. You got this company and you got that company, and we're better than you. Why? Because we are. And again, vice versa. It's like whatever. Who cares?
Like, you know what? I look at it this way. I use this term a lot. I got this term from Julie Ferris. She's awesome. She was one of a class that I took, but she said it best. When we can cross pollinate with each other, there's so much work out there. Why not work together? And I love that saying, because if you could tuck your ego away and just cross pollinate with everybody that's out there and work as a team, we'd actually all be stronger in our industry, I guess you would say. I mean, we do this with the gun industry too. I mean, there's wars here, there, and everybody has their said, they said, blah, 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 my way's right way, blah, blah, blah. You know, and I'm like, okay, you guys, let's stop the pissing war and like all work together and just get the proper knowledge out. Like, if it's not broken, then don't fix it. Like, or wait, yeah. If it's not broken, then don't fix it. Like, just don't modify different techniques and make it into your own thing. Stick to the principles on things. Same thing with executive protection. Same thing with firearms. Same things with self-defense, teaching hand-to-hand combat. Just stick to the what and the why and what works for people and what works for your job. And there's no fighting, but we don't live in that kind of world. So it's kind of entertaining for us, I guess.
Is it because we have the alpha personalities in the exec protection industry that make it like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say so. I mean, you have to have a strong personality to be in this industry. You have to let a lot roll off on you. And, you know, as a female, I know I've had to have a lot roll off of me. I mean, and I don't like to separate females to males because I really look at us as one unit. But you know, in a man's industry and the world, I would say, you pull up to a detail and you got a brand new team and they look at a female and I'm the only one, and they look and they're like, great. We have a
You can tell on their face.
Yeah, you can totally. And I'm like, all right, don't sugarcoat it. I'm like, hi, how are you? Renee Stringer.
And then you just look at their expression on their face.
Oh,
like,
big time. They're
who
like,
the heck are you?
Mm-hmm. And I'm just
wow.
like, okay.
And the demeanor. Is it young guys, old guys alike? It doesn't matter?
All the above. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all.
Like, what are you doing on our turf? What are you doing?
100%. They're like, who invited her? You can't sit with us. But
wow.
I mean, they're cool. Everybody I meet on a new team, you always get that look. And I mean, I'm sure it's like the new guy and they probably do it to men. I just don't see it. And who knows? I probably do it when a new guy walks into a team and I'm like, who's this guy?
Wow.
But yeah, that's
good to hear from your perspective, what you see.
Oh, I mean, we do that for a living. We read people. We look for people. Like, we observe people. And so like when you walk in and you see that, you're like, okay. But what I want to say to women or even men, when you're in that position, don't go diarrhea on your mouth, meaning don't sit there and say your whole background. Don't sit there and who you've done executive protection for. Leave all those. If you have to start dropping names and start proving and justifying what you have on your background right away to your team that you just met, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. You're going to lose all credibility and all respect for them. I mean, the guy that comes in and starts running his mouth right away, I'm like, let's see what your work does. And I'll tell you one thing, he's the weakest link. That guy that usually runs his mouth and drops name is the weakest link on the team.
How so? What do they do?
Oh,
Action.
They're let's see. Complacent.
What's their be? Complacent.
Complacent. Okay. Because ego, their background, they think that they have everything that they need to do, or they were protecting a high profile celebrity and they drop that name and they're like, oh, I used to do this and blah, blah, blah. Oh, I know how to do that. And you're like, that's cool and all, but you should treat your every detail as it's a brand new detail. Even if you've been working it for a week, you should walk in like it's your first day at work. Like, things can change so fast that you need to be able to think like that. Not, easy money. It's not easy money. You're still watching people. You're still doing things. You got to still do your job. You know, and that's kind of things like I see out there.
The lack of character integrity.
Oh, big time. There is a lack of that, you know. And it's sad. because some of these guys are really good protectors, and even girls. I'm saying too, women too. I've seen women come in and they really have to like prove themselves, and I'm like, no, you don't have to prove. What shows is your work. Just be like, if you are flexible and you can adapt and you're easygoing. You don't speak to your client when spoken to, like unless spoken to, just close sentences, keep it really cool and mutual, and then just do your job and get along with your team. You're going to go far, like really, really far in the industry. But there are people who are like, I'm not doing halls and walls and I'm not doing that. I don't drive, or you're doing that. Cause if you're the driver, we all know if you're the driver stays with the vehicle and that is it. And a lot of people don't want to do that because they want to get into the shit, which is fine. But sometimes you got to take it for the team. Today, you're the driver. Okay. Where are we going?
What is the biggest, where do you see the egos show the most? And let's say you're in a residential detail. Give us a scenario. You just pull up in a residence and then all you do, you have a team, let's say a half a dozen people. What happens when everybody shows up, debrief? What do you see just that evolves like the onion or the flower and then it starts blossoming and then all of a sudden you just have sparks fly?
I mean, I didn't get to do residential as much, but when I did do it, I mean, the biggest thing was guys sleeping on the job, being complacent.
Ouch.
Yeah, I would say that's the number one thing that really is kind of my biggest pet peeve. I mean, we all get tired, especially like if you're working that graveyard shift, like 3 a.m. hits in and you're like, okay, I am so ready for bed. Like, how am I going to do, this? And then all of a sudden you're almost off and you get to kick a win. But I would say sleeping. I would also say people wanting the other guy's position or, not working as a team, or that other person doesn't like that. Then it gets gossipy because you guys are all together all the time. And I'm like, okay, this is like not a good thing. Or your team leader is on vacation a lot and you're like, and they're posting on Instagram that they're on vacation and you're like, okay, we got a lot of problems here and we can't get a hold of you. Like so-and-so sleeping passed out in the security room or like in the car, or they're not keeping the vehicles clean. And you're like, how did I get hired onto this? It's like a clown.
So here, right?
Yeah. I mean,
circus.
It really was a circus shit show, I guess you would say. But, it's a learning. This is why I love what I do and working on different teams, because you get to see what's out there and you also get to see like, hey, I don't want to do this. And that's not the person I want to become. That's probably the only downside I've seen with like the residential on a huge team like that. That's maybe if I've had a bad experience, but I've also had good experiences with with the residential. I've had good teams where we're like, crap, I got to go to the bathroom. They're like, I got you covered, So I wouldn't say so much on, I don't do a lot of residential.
Yeah, there's a reason. Please stay away from them. Where all family comes in, no thank you.
Yep. All yours. I'm going to go home with my family and have I'm going to go cuddle with my girls and have a glass of wine.
Because I think most of this young generation, I don't think they can hack it. In the royal families, I remember going 3 months straight without a day off. That's 7 days a week, folks. 12 hours a day, working shifts. And it's almost like this young generation coming in, they just don't have that work ethic. They're kind of lazy, hate to say it. But I remember doing, I'm not going to say what family because of NDA, but I was in Malibu. I went, it was a 2 months solid in the summer. And it came to the end of it. I had never been so sick in my life. I got some bug, some food that we got.
Oh,
it was so bad. 24 hours later, my stomach was bubbling. I woke up and I was in the bathroom. I'm not going into too much graphic, but you can understand when you're throwing up and stuff, you get the bug. But that's just, I had to go to the store and I could barely walk because I had caught something that just hit me hard. So went down to Ralph's at Malibu and got some Gatorade and some yogurt, and no one helped me. I had to do it myself. No one cared. And no one asked me how I was doing. Nobody cared. And I'm like, this really sucks. I mean, if your team doesn't care, if you're vomiting and doing your thing and you're sick, you got a bad case of something, and no one's saying, "Are you okay? You need help?" And everybody knows you're sick, and no one reaches out to you for 24 hours. Like, that's not a team.
No, not at all. That's a team I don't want to be on.
And that happened to me. Nobody checked in. Hey, you want to go to the store? Nobody even offered.
Wow.
And that's just the individuality that takes place on some of these details. That's what I went through.
Yeah, you know what? And I could see that. I definitely could see there's a lot of I. What can I do for me? What can I stand out for to get more like to be in the good positions or whatever? And I'm like, okay, you can have it. Like, I'm like, I'll stick in the back house and I'll go hang out with the employees. My job's just as important being in the back house and doing halls and walls or whatever it is. If you look at it in a different perspective, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
But I do see a lot of I. I'm very fortunate that I have some really great people that I have met, and they're very like team. But I mean, I've worked with females too, and females, I'm sorry to say, but we are freaking catty. And I don't
wow.
Like, I don't know.
What do you mean by catty? Like drama queens?
No, just very dominant, like alpha. Like, I don't know. I've been here. I've already established myself, and now I have a new female that's coming in. Is she going to take my place? Or what does she know that I don't know? And why is she getting more attention than I am? I've met females like that on a team. And I'm just like, whoa, I don't want your job. I just want to do the job. It's all yours. Like, I'm on your side. We're here for the same reason. Like,
is that an insecurity thing, you think?
It might be. It might be. I mean, to me, I'm like, I don't.
You're perceived as a threat. You come on the team, you're the new lady on the team, and you have another one to go, oh, threat. They have to size you up to make sure you're safe. Is that kind of what happens?
Yeah. I mean, men do the same thing too, because men now know that women are needed more than they are.
Yeah,
because
that's true.
Especially with the corporate right now. I mean, corporate's really looking for the female that fits the profile of the executive assistant, the friend, the nanny. There's so many things that we can do, we bring to the table that they can't. And they can still look like an executive assistant. They could do all of that. They could be a nanny, but you're seeing the rise on women in the industry coming up, and it's great. I mean, I'm all for it. I love when I meet new female agents. I love listening to their journey, their background, because everybody has such a wonderful, unique journey of how they got into this industry. And it's just cool. So,
and you have a different type of industry background. You are a co-certified academy graduate in California.
Yeah, for Ventura County Sheriff's.
And so you went through academy, and that means you went to the police academy, you graduated.
Yeah.
And you got the certification. Police academy is no joke. It's pretty tough. It's like boot camp.
It was quite interesting. And I had a great time. I mean, the bonds that I made we still all hang out. It's really cool to see, like, we all got married, we had kids, we meet once in a while, and it's just really cool to talk about, like, going into the academy. You just form that bond with it. It's almost like when you do a team, like when you're on a team for a week or like 30 days, you have that bond with them. They're actually your brothers and sisters. They're family now. So it's just, that's one thing I loved about the Reserve Academy, like, is meeting all of those, my friends and family, my brothers and sisters, I guess you would say.
Brothers and sisters. And yeah, because it's nice when you can turn a detail into the family type of atmosphere environment, so you feel safe, you can be yourself. Mm-hmm. But when you go on like a rural family, typically is very alpha personalities. Everybody thinks that the first thing people are thinking about is that tip. Yeah, you're working with whatever royal family it is, from the Middle East, or Abu Dhabi, Dubai, or from Saudi. Everybody's thinking, okay, what's the tip going to be from day one? Everybody's thinking about that tip before they even get a tip. And sometimes, I know in the last couple of years, I know the Crown Prince has did a reorganization of families and all that, and tips just disintegrated. And now the guy's like, I'm not going to work for that family. They're not going to tip. And it's not the day job anymore. And another thing is too, only in America they tip. Europe, they don't tip. It's an American culture thing.
Yeah.
And I had a principal that was in Beverly Hills. So I talked to the detail lead. I said, you don't believe this. All these waiters and stuff come up to me. He goes, that guy did not leave a tip. Sorry, he paid for services. And they said, we were expecting a couple $1,000s for a tip for gratuity. Sorry, he's my client. I'm not going to tell him how to tip you guys. And they were furious. And I've been on teams where the drivers got the tip and the security got half. We're like, what the heck? But if you're thinking about how much of your tip's going to be, you're in for the wrong motivation.
There are times where I got robbed of my tip because the team leader was shady and took it.
Oh, that raises another conversation right there.
Yeah. I mean, we've all been there. We've seen it. We've been, I guess if it has not happened to you, then good for you. But
it's going to happen.
It is going to happen. And
people are naturally greedy in this industry. And the problem is they're not working every day of the year. And so they have that 4-month run. You're probably making $500 a day, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then that's based on a percentage. But I've been on details too, where I found out that the detail leads were taking $1,000 for each head as a commission for putting the detail together.
Dang. Wow. Oh, right.
And the envelope was really small. And then we found out the drivers, because everybody talks. If you're listening to this podcast, you have to realize everybody talks in the industry.
Yep.
And it's a small industry. Everybody's connected on LinkedIn and Facebook. And guess what? A problem is with most of these agents, they're living in the now.
Yeah.
They're not living 5 months to 5 years from now. They're living in the now, and they're destroying their own reputation by this behavior.
Yeah. And it's a small industry. I mean, we've talked about this, before about, you said, you nailed it. A lot of these guys are waiting for the next job, or girls are waiting for the next job to come up, and they're like, oh my gosh, and you're freaking out because money's getting low. But we talked about this networking. Networking is huge in this industry, and almost anything that you do in life is what it is. Right now we have word of technology instead of word of mouth. Back in the days, that's what it used to be. But we have all these opportunities with close protection conferences and the LinkedIn, and now they're having these close protection, executive protection mixers all over. They're popping up. And I'm thinking, this is a great way to network. And the best advice I could give to anybody is get out there and network, and don't sit there and think work is actually going to fall in your lap. Just because you know somebody of somebody and somebody, which is great, but you need to know more of somebody, this and that, because that's when the work starts to flow. And then that's when you start to create your name out there where you got business lined up. I mean, you have the opportunity to be busy every week if you want. It's just, how are you networking, and how is your attitude when you are on that detail? Just because you're getting paid to do like halls and walls or the driver or do something else that you don't want to do, how is your attitude? Are you going to get hired back? I mean, that, like you said, everything shines upon you. If you have a bad day, you got to tuck that in and just, hi, but it's crazy to see, like, I could see why people do what they do, like grabbing the money. There's a motive there, they're stressed out about it. The best thing I could say to people, and like, go out there, network. Not saying that you need to talk to everybody on your team and get to know them and everything else. Let your work shine for you. But on your off days, if you see it like a person needing help or something, take that job. Because then you never know that person might have a 30-day detail, maybe with the royal family. And then you're like, oh my God, I got that job because of this person.